Today I'm going to use Firebase to develop a secure, data-driven web application. I'll be showcasing the following skills that are listed here in the bullet points. And the first one that I'll do is discuss the types of problems that Firebase tries to solve. And Firebase is basically Google's backend as a service, and you use it for web and mobile application platforms. It handles things such as authentication, cloud functions, storage, hosting, analytics, and a whole lot more. The first thing that I would say that it tries to solve, a problem that it tries to solve, is that when you sign up for Firebase, it's free. The services are absolutely free, but if you do choose a plan, then they're very inexpensive. They don't cost a whole lot. The next thing is that using Firebase, it's super easy to set up, and they create simple solutions to solve your back-end problems for all of your apps to get them up and running. Another type of problem that Firebase tries to solve is that it takes care of all of the back-end solutions that you can think of, and even some of the back-end solutions that you haven't thought about yet. So it's basically a kind of, you set it and you forget it. You don't even have to think about it or worry about it. Firebase uses intelligent structures of the cloud Firestore database, and this allows you to start collections and sub-collections and directories. And another major type of problem that Firebase tries to solve is that it has cloud functions in Google Analytics. So analytics is how the user uses the apps, and it defines custom events. The cloud functions include things like write functions and delete functions. And this is any type of action that's performed on the server. You can write a cloud function that will handle any task. For example, if you want to send an email when a new account is created, or if you have a specific document that's edited, it will automatically update another document that reflects that change that has been made. Next, I'll show you how to read, write, update, and delete data on Firebase. Okay, so the first thing you want to do to integrate Firebase to an existing web app is you want to first go to Firebase. Alright, you'll go to the console and you'll want to get started and create a project. So from the console, you'll add a project. Then you'll want to give your project a name. We can just call it Firebase to do, and click continue. Then you can enable Google Analytics, or you don't have to. And from here, you want to give it some time so that the project will create. Alright, after that, after it's finished, you hit continue. You'll see this dashboard here. And you want to click on the website icon, which is located right here. Let's create your web app. To access Firebase, we need to add a web app to the Firebase project, and we'll register it. So we'll type our name here, Firebase.to-do. Alright, click register. Then you want to continue to the console. Alright, and after we've done that, you go to project settings, which is up here. From there, you scroll down, and you'll want to click on config, and you want to copy the Firebase config. It will be used to communicate to the Firebase. You can do Control-C, or you can go here and copy. Now you want to go to the Firestore database. Then you'll click on Create Database, and this pop-up will come up, and you click Next. Alright, and you'll want to make sure that you have the correct time zone, so to speak, so we'll use US Central. Click Enable. Alright, once it's created, you'll see this database, and you'll want to click on Security Rules, and then you want to change false to true, and then click Publish Rules. Okay, from there in the terminal, you want to install the Create React app. So you do npx create-react-app, and then to do app. Alright, after we have React downloaded, we want to change directory and make sure that we're in that actual directory. So we'll do cd to do app. Right, and now we are there. And in that application, we want to make sure we install the following things you need. Alright, and last but not least, we need to install npm install Firebase. Alright, and then we do npm start. Okay, so now we're running on the local host, and the build has run successfully. Alright, so if I open up my to-do app folder and go inside of the source folder, I want to add a new file, and we'll call it Firebase.js. So the first thing I want to do in Firebase.js is import two dependencies from the Firebase/app and Firebase/Firestore. Alright, and here is where I can paste the config file that we got from the database. Firebase configuration. Next, I need to initialize Firebase using the initialize app function and Firebase config as the parameter. So I'll do const app equals initialize app and then the Firebase config. And then from there, I'll initialize Firestore using get Firestore, the get Firestore function up here, and the app variable as the parameter. Right? And then last, we need to export DB so it can be accessed from the other files. And all you have to do is export DB. Okay, next in the src folder, we need to create a new folder, and we'll call it components. And inside the components folder, well, that didn't work. Components. And inside the components folder, we need to add a file called title.js. And I want to move the components folder into my source folder. Okay. Alright, so here I'm going to import React in the title.js. And I'm going to add my class name here. And I'll do CSS a little bit later. Title. And create an H1. We'll call it to do app. And close the div. Right. Now that we finished that, we need to import it into app.js. So the first thing I want to do is import my app.css. Okay, and then I need to import React. And I want to import my title component. So here I've returned the title component so that we can see it, and I've exported the app here. Alright, it's compiled successfully, so when we go to our local host, here we can see that it is now displaying the title component of to-do app. I need to add some CSS because this is very basic and unappealing to the eye, so I'll add some CSS to the folder. So I've added some CSS. Basically, just to keep it simple, I added turquoise as my background color and white, snow white, as my font color, and here's what it looks like. Okay, so from here I need to add another folder inside of components, so we'll call this one add to-do.js, and I need to import React, and I need to import DB from Firebase. Okay, I also need to import collections and add doc from the Firestore. Right. And I need to export default function add to-do list. Okay, by doing this, I'm creating a state name title, and it'll be an asynchronous function. Alright, and e.preventDefault will not make the page reload. I need to put my form down here. I need to do an add doc function to store the information into the database. And the data should be given as an object as well. And after we store the data, we gotta clear the input. So here I've created an input field for the to-do input, and value will be the title state so that I can store the data. And onChange will update the state when the user gives the input. And down here I have the submit button. So now that I've completed this component, I need to import it to app.js so that it shows up. So we'll do import add to do from components add to do, and it's compiling. This needs to be open div. Okay, it's fully compiled, so now when we go to look at our local host, we see that it's been updated. Okay, so now I'll try to enter some data so that we can store it in the database of Firestore. So I'll just type in water the plants, right? And when we go to the Firestore and click refresh, and there it is. It shows up. We've got the title, Water the Plants here. Alright, in the components folder, I added another file called todo.js. And this file, the purpose of this file is to display all of the to-dos. At the very top, I've imported React again, and I've imported all of the icons that go along with this app. I passed props throughout this component, so I'll be able to define the props. I made a title state, and it's used to store the to-do title. And this is what we call a use state hook. As far as the front end is concerned, this line here is very important because it'll be used to cross a line through every time a task is completed on the to-do list. This line means that if the to-do title line is empty, then it'll show new title. If we scroll back up here, we have a function for the handle change, and the e.preventDefault, it prevents the page from reloading. All right, when we go down here, we have a toggle complete, which will change false to true and true to false. All right, so now I'm going to go back to app.js, and here you'll see that I've imported my to-do from the components to-do. I've also imported the packages from the Firebase, and I imported db from firebase.js. Here I'm able to fetch the data using the useEffect hook. These little brackets mean that useEffect will only run one time. In line 20, I'm writing a query, and here collection accepts two parameters, database and to-dos, which is our collection name. Okay, here we have a temporary array that we'll use to store the information, the data from the database. And after that, it gets updated in the to-do stay. And set to-dos, the function of that is that it will re-render the UI. On line 31, we have the handle edit function. It will update the to-do using update the update doc function on line 32. Toggle complete will update if the to-do is completed or not. So we have completed or not completed. It will also use the update doc function. And when it's called, the handle delete function, it will delete the to-do that's corresponding. Okay, in line 48, we have a to-do container, or the to-do component rather, and it is used to display all of the props. And here we pass the to-dos, the functions as the props, and that completes the code. Alright, and we have the app here, and it still has the data saved from the first time we used it, water the plants. So we can add another one to it. We can do brush teeth, add. I can use the strike through method by checking off the list if it's completed. And if I want to edit, I can click here and edit if I need to. Alright, and then if I want to get rid of one, I can just click the delete button there. And that's the to-do app. Okay, so now we're going to host the to-do app on Firebase. So we go to Firebase's website again, click on hosting, and get started. Alright, it says install Firebase CLI to host your site with Firebase hosting. You need the CLI and the command line tool. So we run the following command. So we can just copy this. Okay, and we go back to the terminal. And we want to hit Control C. Alright, and we paste the command. npm install globally Firebase tools. Then we click next. It says open a terminal window and navigate to or create the root directory in your app. Oh, we type in Firebase login. Alright, we're already logged in. Then we initiate the project, Firebase init. Okay. Then we hit next. And when we're ready to deploy the web app, we're going to put Firebase deploy. Alright, we select the ones we want. We hit enter. So we want to use an existing project. And the one we want is the to-do app, which is here. Alright, we need to initialize real-time database, US Central. Alright, Firebase CLI GitHub login successful. So now we're ready to deploy. Firebase initialization complete. So now we can do Firebase deploy. Voila, deploy complete.